Hello everyone, my name is Pew Pew Choo Choo and welcome to another 1v1 ranked battle for Wargame AirLand battle. As normal, we will be playing with 1000 points, destruction game mode of course, where we try to pick off units and try to score a point total exceeding 2000 points or until 40 minutes is up. I will be playing as the red faction here. Both of our players today will be NATO, and well, let's just see how the progression of this battle goes. So, this is, I'm not sure about the map name still, but this map I remember was from Wargame European Escalation. So my plan for now is to go for the control points of Foxtrot and Gulf, following the new meta or the meta of infantry combat. I've decided to go with a lot of Swedish infantry, and I'm currently in the process of building actually a full Swedish deck. So I bought quite a lot of Swedish infantry, some Swedish ATGMs, which they're high accuracy, high killing potential, but low range, and some of these allied, or rather American Humvees armed with light riflemen, simply because they are a combination of regular infantry and ATGMs, which are useful for controlling this side of the map. So let's start off for the blitz race towards Foxtrot and Gulf. So if I slow this down to 1 speed or regular real-time speed, you might have noticed that these trucks are actually amazingly fast, going at 150 kilometers per hour on these roads. So these are definitely my blitz vehicles. I find these Swedish infantry to be exceedingly good at using these trucks, simply because they just move that fast. Anyway, so this is our first deployment. I've got the little scout helicopter too, which is pretty helpful too. So that's kind of our initial lineup of mainly just infantry and AA to set up inside these positions. We're going to be fighting primarily defensive battles, so it'll be important to grab as much territory as possible. One of the newer additions to my lineup was that I was realizing that with my infantry setup, I didn't have a lot of mobility, and if I moved my AA cover, it was often very sluggish. So I've decided to go with these American OH little plane things with the Stinger fire and forget missiles to kind of supplement my AA capability. So these things are going to go around the map and essentially try to snipe off any enemy helicopters that might be in the area. Unfortunately, you may have noticed that he did get the infantry drop off right there, but his planes do go down, which is rather nice, and likewise he's breaking his troops here, so I'm going to move my little air fleet there. This will be a fairly long match, so I think I will be playing it up with the enhanced speeds. Right here we just try to clear some of those infantry units. I bought some of these US Marines armed with, or rather on these LAV-25s, which are absolutely devastating against infantry, so I'm going to be primarily using Marines in those LAVs to kind of sweep up enemy-held buildings. But the problem with these LAVs is that they come at a premium price of 33 resource points per unit, making these units really rather expensive compared to traditional infantry, which should only cost about 10 points for the actual infantry unit. In this case it's 20 per squad, and the transport should only be like at the most 5. My enemy here is using a lot of these fighting falcons to drop munitions onto us, and notably they are the 1-ton bombs, so they are quite devastating when they hit. Unfortunately, they did pick off my infantry squad, or my 2 marine squads there, costing me about 40 points. Now at the same time, my opponent really likes to make a few incisions into my lines. He's really trying to push onto the offensive, not by directly attacking, but essentially trying to infiltrate my lines and take out my little command vehicles. In response, I'm constantly keeping up the air reconnaissance. I've got the little French scout planes running double time, essentially trying to sweep out all of these covered locations so then I can find those squads, deploy my intruders, and just really drop the bombs on them. Now, in the last video, I was heavily using my intruders, but inside this one, with the lack of information, I wasn't able to bring the pain from the skies. So in this episode, or in this match, I kind of had my air units on a secondary kind of goal. The main fighting comes around here, where it's essentially a duel for these buildings. Personally, I'm not a big fan of this whole infantry meta, but it is what it is, so we will be having to just kind of deal with it for now. So that's kind of the first initial phase of the game. My enemy does bring in some starships. He's trying to probe my my forces. I found out later on that this person's tactics really favor in trying to do these insurgical strikes, essentially targeting key locations and just trying to pick those off. So at this point, I'm just trying to readjust my lines. He has those one-ton bomber things, which are quite deadly against vehicles, so we do have to keep that in mind. We do have to take some measures to kind of protect our lines from those. Over here, we are going. He does another probe. He's trying to find my command vehicles, and he's trying to take those out. So I've decided to move my little squad of light riflemen here to hopefully pick it off. And I believe this is actually the only real bomber strike I get off. Over here on this side of the map, he was able to see what I had back here, but the good thing was that my my ATGM team, actually, out of all the different teams, these are primarily anti-tank units. For some reason, they were able to find his little unit here, which is rather good. And with a little bit of good timing and micromanagement, I was able to save my command vehicle from that bomb drop. And another thing that I've been using is these Seahawk little planes, really, helicopters, really, and I see he has a few tanks back there, and I believe they're worth 60 bucks a piece. But the good thing about these Seahawks is that they fire the Hellfire missiles with an amazing range of 2.8 kilometers with high accuracy and high AP power. In addition, it also fires it at a swell rate of 30 rounds per minute, making these things extraordinarily deadly. However, with their limited munitions payload, they are a little bit risky, simply because you might not have enough missiles to take out everything that you need to. He's really driving his infantry forward here. But the main problem are those tanks, so I had hoped that this little thing would be able to snipe off the starships, and it is able to. It fires rather fast. It actually it has a habit of firing 2 missiles when it only really needs 1, so you do have to do some micromanagement. You do have to control these Hellfire missiles. I probably should have just kind of let it shoot 1 and then turn off the weapon and then turn it back on if the first shot misses, because with the long range, your enemy is not going to be able to kite you anymore. And here I bring in my F-14 Tomcat to provide some cover. So I believe that is the initial a little bit of the game. So that puts us at 500 points. It puts them at forgot about the airstrike. I saw that Martyr 2 Roland, that's a radar-based anti-air weapon, so I bring in my Raven, snipe that off, see his plane going for me. I'm not sure what type of plane it is, but unfortunately I do believe it hits my command vehicle. But the other thing I noticed is that he has 2 Chaparrals over here. He does get it, but still, we're still in the point lead, because that only gives him 130 points, which actually isn't that much compared to the heavy tanks that people have been playing a lot of recently. So overall, that's fine. We're still in the point lead. It does make us more careful, though. At this point, I expect him to be doing a few infiltrating. I expect him to be putting a few infiltrators down, so I bring the little helicopter, the recon helicopter over here back to do a few more sweeps. In the meantime, he just wants to apparently drop bombs on us, and I do believe we pick off one of his planes later on. And in addition, he tries to control this little part of the map right here. He tries to drop some of his infantry to fight me. He's using a lot of these Jaeger infantry, which is fine. Those Jaeger infantry are actually heavily leveled up ones, which is all good. Unfortunately, those French planes, or whatever the heck those things were, those line bombers, they aren't necessarily very deadly against infantry inside buildings, and they are they are expendable, so it's not that bad. I did notice that he had some troops inside this little bush right here, so I'm going to bring one of my AA helicopters over there. I really like these things, and I'm just going to use that to snipe the thing off. Yeah, one of these Hueys, which are actually worth 10 points, so they're not cheap, but they're not really expensive either, so we're just going to try to pick those off. And here I set up this AA net. So at the moment, I mean, throughout throughout the game, I find that like right now, you know, it's released. Nobody really knows what the other person is doing exactly. It's a lot of just playing mind games, and it's a lot of just trying to understand your opponent's play and going from there. I find that baiting your opponent is more effective than anything at the moment. So right here, get that Seahawk missile off. See, notice how it shot 2. I'm gonna try to bait my opponent. Unfortunately, I did lose the Marines, the LAV thing over here. But I noticed that he has his recon chopper in this area, and I noticed that I do have these Marines. Yeah, oh, this is when we take out his Eagle. The plane that went by was the one that was taken down, I think. Yeah, the point totals look like that also confirms it. But anyways, I'm just going to keep these Marines here, which bear in mind are fairly expensive. They're 40 points, just essentially below my Chaparro line here. So I hope that he runs his little troopers into us. And another thing I'm doing at the moment is that I believe I'm also trying to buy some mortars, some high-firing mortars to cover our bases. I want to start picking off his Chaparros, which are the infrared missiles. They're really good against helicopters, but their accuracy isn't that great, and their range against airplanes is actually lower than their range against helicopters. So overall, I mean, these Chaparros are good, but they aren't perfect, to say the least. But the main advantage of them is the fact that you can't pick them off with seed-based aircraft, which are anti-radar aircraft. Oh, a nice little play here was that because you can't actually tell what type of infantry is in transports, unlike the first game, you can essentially move Humvees in like that and just bring them over to snipe off enemy aircraft or enemy tanks rather nicely like that. And as soon as we're done picking off their little aircraft here, I bring in the LAVs to take care of the Jaeger infantrymen. That goes nicely. But mostly I pull back my my Humvees armed with the Stinger infantry because I felt like that would have been a major target for my enemy. So that's kind of that. That's kind of the first phase of this this match right here. While that's happening, like I said, we are going to be playing the defensive, and inherently because of that, I feel like we will be having the point advantage at the beginning and the middle of the game, and as the game gets longer and longer, that becomes more unstable, so long as we keep up reconnaissance, keep up our security efforts, such as positioning my my recon infantry over here, spreading out my infantry, protecting my command vehicles from the forests here, keeping reconnaissance going with my planes over here. I think we should be good, but there is the chance that things will go badly. So essentially what I plan on doing for this is to just hold off the enemy, keep that point total going, keep us in the lead while List waiting for his final assault. So in this process, I've bought some of these LAVMs, which are the mortar types. I've decided to set them up here because I kind of wanted to find my enemy before actually committing these things, because when you group them up, they're fairly expensive at 75 points total. Apart from that, I mean, I just bring up some Humvees with these recon infantry up to just kind of scout out Delta and Echo over here, and in addition to that, I'm just preparing my my defenses for his inevitable rush. And I see some of these I saw some of these MD Jupiters, but I'm not sure what they were for. So I'm actually just going to check that now. No, he had some infantry here, that's why. Yeah, because I don't know what those were all about. I mean, were they like just there or something like that? So yeah, and then at one point my enemy does bring up a few vehicles, a few tanks, you know, the works. So I believe I spot that as soon as it comes out of Delta. I bring my little recon helicopter here. It was actually doing another route, doing another lap around my area, which is a really good practice. You may have noticed that I've been leaving my troops inside Foxtrot, even though there's nothing there right now, and that's simply because my opponent knows about this place, and like I said, I really want to start playing the mind games and really going from there. So in the event that my opponent is desperate, he might try to pick things off inside Foxtrot, and in the process of that, if he uses planes, I've got 2 Chaparros and I believe some Stinger yeah, some land stingers, which will be able to handle that, and I've got infantry to handle direct assaults, right? So that's pretty good. So I do see this mechanized column here. I'll actually do the climatic thing again. And this is just moving down this little road. So I've got to figure out a way to counter this, and my solution to this was to bring in air power. I'm going to try to delay his advance by holding our units back, pulling them back, letting him take the ground, trade ground for time to bring in some of those lovely, lovely Seahawks to really take them out. Look at those Seahawks. You can see them from a mile away due to their really bright white paint. Yeah, in the meantime, he's trying to pick off a few of my units. I do move my command vehicle a little back just to kind of protect it, and I believe we get into a nice range. He doesn't have any air cover, and we fire a few missiles at his M1 Abrams. Yep, 2 missiles, takes it out. He brings in some air on the side, though. I don't know what that's all about, but anyways, things should be fine for now. Oh, another little trick that I've been doing is that, do camera jumps. There we go. I've put this single command vehicle in the middle of nowhere, just in the back of my my lines, simply because I know he's trying to go to pick off my command vehicles. There's 4 minutes left on a 40-minute clock, and he needs to get that point advantage to win by default. So he's either going to try to go for units, which is unlikely, or alternatively he's going to go and try to pick off my command vehicles, which is rather risky. Now, generally speaking, in that scenario, he's going to lose a lot of points trying to take out those command vehicles. But it's alright, in theory, because you should be able to knock out those 2 command vehicles, therefore ending the game because if the opponent does not have any command vehicles, he automatically loses. If I put one in a bush in the middle of nowhere, it'll keep him at bay. Even if he takes out the command vehicles that are actively capturing the zones, that are actively occupying the zones, he won't be able to deal with that one. He'll be like, oh, what the fuck, man, where is it? So that's kind of my mentality for that, and well, the ending little bit of the game here isn't really all that much. I believe he tries to bring in those helicopters to take out a hotel, brings in the air power. Air power didn't really do much. No, actually, I think it scratched one of my, yeah, it scratched my command vehicle pretty badly, but it didn't take it out, and even if it did, we're still in the lead with the point total, so it won't even matter that much. But anyways, the comm vehicle gets away. I buy some more air power just to kind of keep up the pressure. He's gunning it. He's sending everything he's got in terms of planes and all of this just to kind of pick off that command vehicle. And I know that, bring in all of my air superiority, try to hold that command vehicle, because we have to maintain the illusion that it is very, very valuable for us. And I believe he does like one more tank rush down the middle of the map with these starships trying to just garner some points. Unfortunately, this single ATGM squad picks him off, and then that's a game over for us. So overall, a pretty good play game. I mean, unfortunately, it did draw out for 40 minutes. That's one thing that I really feel like the game developers should get on. They need to make some sort of control point system so that attacking is actually valuable and worthwhile. And overall, that was pretty much the game. You know, focusing on air superiority and background tasks such as patrolling for security tasks was pretty much what led us to victory. What he could have done better was that he could have he could have definitely tried to keep up his air support along with his tanks. I feel like that might have helped it a little bit more, simply because those Chaparros actually do outrange those Hellfire missiles, and he probably could have saved his M1 Abrams by deploying those, which would have led me to bring in my tanks. And bear in mind, he has those great bombers. Overall, it's a pretty great game. Be sure to like and subscribe for more, of course. I'll see you guys next time where we play some more of this.